Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to add some more details to our dog here. So let's just go ahead and save as, and we can call this draft 15. Like I said, it does take many times to do new designs here. So first things, what we can do is kind of just flip over into object mode with Control Tab down or Control Tab left. And notice here, we've got our little spot where our eyes are. So I'm just going to Shift right click, and we're going to add an eyeball right there. So let's make sure you're in object mode, and we're in our flexible collection here. We're going to do Shift A to add a UV sphere, and it comes in really tiny there. So let's just bring in the radius somewhere about an eyeball size. Looks pretty good. Maybe like 2 or 3 should be great. I'm just going to do 2 millimeters, and there we go. So now we've got a cute little eyeball there. We can even select our eye, rename it, and add a mirror modifier. So we'll do mirror, and then just make sure you select, your dog mesh there. And looky there, we got little eyeballs. So any changes we make on this side, so if we go G and Z, bring them, bury them into the head a little bit more, the easier it will be to adjust those. And now let's just go ahead and shift click on the dog head. Make sure you have the eyeball selected first, shift click on the dog head, and we'll do Control plus to Boolean those to the head right there. And we did get some kind of artifacting right here. I'm not sure. That may be from our piece right here, our little spike kind of coming down through right there. So maybe we can hit G and Z and just barely nudge that down. I don't know if you can see, it's like right above this bottom eye here. Yeah, so it looks like that was, all right. So now we've got some eyes poking out through there. And now we kind of can start making Mad Mardigan's, actual face. So let's click on our dog head, Shift Tab down into Sculpt mode. Again, make sure you have your symmetry on and that your multi-res is cranked up on the sculpt section, at least to 3. If you want to try and go up more, you can. Notice here, we also can't see our eyeballs. So if we switch back over to object mode, we can select the wireframe, go into this little square here, this object properties, and go all the way down to viewport display. And when we do the bool tool, it switches it to display as bounds automatically, kind of flips it to that for us. But we can switch it to wireframe, and we'll get kind of a little wireframe mesh. And then now if we click on our dog head and go into sculpt mode, we'll get a little wireframe once we add our little multi-resolution back on here. There we go. So you can kind of see, where those eyes are, and that'll help us when sculpting with live booleans. So we can take our draw tool, just kind of mold around the eyeballs here. I may even subdivide one more time while in sculpt mode. That'll just give us a little bit more resolution to play with here. And the trick is to not make the dog look mad unless you want, a mad looking dog, which our dog's name is Mad Mardigan, but he's relatively just a pretty goofy guy, so I don't have to make him too mad. But he does have these nice little eyebrow points right there, very pronounced eyebrows. May even do Control and kind of push in. And notice wherever my face is, that's usually kind of the direction that we're pushing in. And this is just to kind of make some indentions in the ear, just to give us some character. So these are kind of like our mid-level sculpting details, nothing too crazy, but really just adding some character to the overall design. And, sculpting, like I was saying in the last videos, does just take practice and time, but that's what this is. Don't get too hard on yourself if it's not looking exactly how you want. Sculpting can be very tricky. So just kind of try and see if you can get it generally to look something, like this. And if you get anywhere close, congratulate yourself, because this is tricky stuff. But there you go. We've just got some ears. Again, notice it's happening on the other side because we've got the sculpt tools on. We could add some little details here. He's got kind of a little fluff right there. But really sculpting, a lot of the times what I'm doing is just kind of, adding things and then holding shift and kind of softening them, just to make it look a little mo better. And now we can try and kind of do the nose here. So I'm going to go into side view and go into wireframe mode. And you can see our nose right here. So we'll go into draw, and the nose is kind of in this area. Kind of all in this is our little nose guy here. So we'll go back into solid mode. So now we know, this is kind of our nose area. We can build up a little bit just to kind of give us some change and variation to the size here. We could even, hold control, kind of drop this in ever so slightly, kind of smooth this out. And let's see if we can see the nose. So we'll go into see-through mode. And notice we've got the nose here. So the nose kind of just comes up and curves around like that. I don't know if you can see here. It's kind of hard to see even in see-through mode. This is a little bit better. So you can toggle that dog head on and off if you need to, but it's just kind of big kind of hole very close to the middle of the nose there. So we'll bring our dog back, go into object view, and I'm just going to go into inflate and then shrink it on down and kind of do the inverse here. So we're just holding control and clicking, kind of making a little dog nose there. I may even do draw, see if that does. Yeah, that looks a little easier there. So I'm just looking at the nose here. So really, we can kind of just make a hole kind of near the front of the face there. And we can always soften it up. I'm just pushing that in, just to kind of give us some detail. And just make kind of a little loop there. And then from the side, you can just hold control, and this one kind of just goes upward at an angle like that. And then we can just kind of soften it up. But really just making some details here. Maybe push these down a little bit. I may even do a really skinny kind of like drop there down the front of the nose, and just kind of soften it all up. Maybe push the nose back in. So really just a bunch of pushing and pulling to kind of get just a rough nose. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy, but just to kind of know there's a dog nose there. And that looks pretty good. So now we've got kind of some ears etched out. We've got a little bit of a nose, and you can do as much or as little sculpting as you want. I know a lot of people, aren't too huge into sculpting. I'm getting more and more into it with my product design, but I just want to kind of get you really just acquainted with the basic workflow when doing sculpting for kind of a product design here. And then we can go ahead and save. And if you want to add any details on the neck or the head here, I may just kind of soften up the head right there so his head's not so bumpy. But I'm pretty happy with that. I think it's looking pretty good. And, like I said, feel free to go into more detail if you would like. But I'm just going to kind of end it right there. And let's go ahead and jump into the next lesson.